Okay guys, a warm welcome back to the Forensic Unplugged channel. How are you doing? It's early in the morning, I'm a bit square-eyed, blurry-eyed. I've got an objective in this video, and that is just to get some machine tool time with a new tool that I'm going to review on the main channel. And this is really going to be a behind the scenes kind of video, very informal, on this polisher. So it's called a DA15. It's from Into Detailing, Imran. It's been sent to me free of charge, which can create bias when you're reviewing them. But our aim really is to kind of look at this and criticise it where need be, praise it where need be, and talk about price and all that sort of stuff as we do on the channel. And we'll try and do that a bit in this video as well. So over there on that tool rack, you can see that red one is Imran's DA9, which is your entry level kind of machine polisher, smaller sort of footprint, you know, with the tool itself. Next to it is Imran's, I think it's called a DA12, which is his mini 3-inch, polisher. So when you start out, lots of people buy that tool, and then when they want to take the next step, they buy a long throw polisher and typically pair it up with a little mini long throw polisher as well, which takes you to the next step. And then when you go to the next step after that, you tend to get like a nano polisher, like a Flex Pixie 80 or a Rupes Nano, or a Chinese copy of a Nano. Imran's got them as well. So that's your like tiering of polishers, and that's the route that most people take. They start off with that, move to these, and then you can go. Some people will prefer rotary polishers. Some, like myself, like forced rotation, and of course cordless options. So that's a little bit of history about polishing. This is a corded option with a 6-meter cable. Cable seems to be reasonably heavy set, but not, I've seen heavier duty cables, but it looks pretty decent, a bit wider than your normal cable. It's got this cable guard on the bottom of the machine, and I'm just interested in looking at that. So a problem with machine polishers in general is treading on the cable and yanking on that bit, and if it doesn't have this support, you can damage the internals, which used to happen on those entry-level DAs. That was the point of failure. So that's quite a nice touch. I do notice that some of them are moulded to the cord, so that this device takes up a bit of the strain when you tread on the cable. That doesn't appear to be moulded, it's just sleeved over the top. So that's an observation. Good cable length though, 6 meters. Seems, you know, back in the day, I remember machine polishers having 3 or 4 meter cables, and you had to get extensions leads out and stuff like that. And then machine manufacturers started increasing the cable lengths, and now you wouldn't get away with having a short cable on your machine to save yourself £1 or whatever. You just wouldn't get away with it. It'd be too annoying. People would end up taking the cables off and putting cables on it. So you'll buy one that has long cables. 6 meters is a decent length, actually. You know, that's the length, that's the whole length of this garage. So wherever I hook in, I can basically do my car and then hook in over there, and I haven't got to worry about cable length. So that's good. So we mentioned it's a 15 mil throw, so it's a long throw polisher, so the orbit's a bit more aggressive, which gives you a bit more, it gives you a bit more movement of the abrasive from the orbit rather than just the rotation of the plate. The rotation of the plate is always going to be the same regardless of, it's the same dynamics, geometries, regardless of the throw. The rotation's just rotation. But by having a larger offset, so where the bearing is mounted on the axle, if that's the offset, you know, it's mounted off center, you scrub the abrasive more, so the orbit is sort of generating more scrub, if you like, and the orbit is driven. It's just the rotation that isn't driven. So by increasing the offset You can increase the scrub, so these machines generally have a little bit more cut. Of course, the further off that you balance them, you offset them, you've got to counterbalance that so that the weighting's right. You can get more vibration and a bit more of a haywire feeling, like it's going bananas when the offset is larger. So you can go up to, like, Rupes have got a 21mm throw machine, but you lose accuracy as well when that orbit starts getting larger, and it's a bit more difficult to edge with them. So 15mm seems to be like a sweet spot, doesn't it? That a lot of the people, tool manufacturers and stuff, settle on for a long throw machine. Yeah, our speed range is 2,000 OPM up to 5,800. Sorry, that tool, this little adjuster, seemed big, and it clicks into place quite nice. You've got half turns on that as well. Unusual to put machine speeds on there rather than numbers. Typically you see like numbers 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 or whatever. I think the number's probably better because it gets you to think in machine speeds. And then when you start thinking in machine speeds, when you become more machine speed aware. You'll be aware that you might be operating at 5.8 and 5.8 might be too quick for you. But when you buy another machine, for example, our Flex machine has a top end of 3,800, I think. So you'll become more aware of speeds, and like when you buy the machines, what a good range is. You wouldn't want to go much beyond that. You won't operate the machine at that speed for even if you're cutting. But it's nice to have a little bit more than you need than not have enough, I think. So that's fine. Good speed range. The machine weighs 2.3 kilograms. It feels quite heavy to me, but 2.3 is pretty standard. That's a standard kind of weight. It does feel heavy though. I'll probably weigh that for the main video. What other features does it have? 1,000-watt motor. There seems to be a little bit of an arms race with the wattage of motors. It's like they never go down, they always go up, and it's like, well, the next one will have 1,050. It's hard to know what that power really, if that power really translates to torque. With DAs, torque is a little bit less of an issue because the spin is it's free spinning, so it's only the orbit that's driven. But torque is always important. You don't want a machine that's under torquing and slowing down, and you're able to slow the machine down, which moves me on to my next point. This machine has a constant speed control, as it's constant velocity or whatever. So in other words, if it detects slowdown of the plate, it'll increase power to compensate. So that should help you get consistent torque, not consistent rotational speed of the plate, because that's going to vary with pressure and contours and stuff like that. So that's the key thing to understand. That isn't driven, you see. There's no drive on that. It's just the wobbly bit that's driven. But interesting because, yeah, normally you don't get the features with these Chinese tools. That's the thing. You do not get the features because you've got to put, I think, electronics in there, microprocessors and stuff to control that, which adds to cost. So it's good that they've put the constant speed on here, I think. Yeah, electric constant speed and soft start. That's important as well. Well, actually, you don't want it. Yeah, you don't kind of want to go plug in and that thing go boom like a drill. You want it to build a little bit, but you don't want it to be too slow. You're waiting for it to start. But yeah, so 2 electronic features: soft start, constant speed. All of these tools now have taken a leap forward in ergonomics, where you have this integrated bail. I don't even think, now you don't even get a stick with these. No one uses the stick because it compromises the form of the machine, and the bail is probably the best way to handle it. So no problem with that. The rubber on these is good. Ooh, Oh, I was just thinking, look, the button's on the wrong side, but that's my left hand. So the lock button, the trigger lock button, so you've got the trigger down there and the trigger lock there, and it releases. That's quite nice. Yeah, there's a nice feeling on that, like a sprung feel, which feels pretty good. That's important because you're using that trigger all the time. It's like the steering wheel of the car. It's the bit you feel. It feels quite nice. And it looks like it's going to be nice to release. This area can all get caked up with polish, so yeah, you just looking if there's could be any problems with polish caking in there, but no, that'd be okay. That does that button does sort of stick out and affect the ergonomics, but it's okay. Yeah, it's good. Obviously, that means it's for right-handed people predominantly, because the lefties would want the button on the other side. What's going on out there? There's all sorts of noise. We have a rubberized top piece there, so it's important to be able to set the machine down. The machine's pretty stable. A bit of wobble there, but then it is kind of top heavy when it's upside down like that because of this piece. Now this is interesting. We've got loads of holes in the, I just want to get a torch. Got loads of holes in the plate, but less holes in the underside of the plate, and they don't completely line up, but it's probably okay. There's a bit of a gap between the bottom of it and all these holes, and I think the purpose of that is just to vent air through this, to just, it's like an exhaust system, you know, the air will come in through here, travel over the motor, blow out through here, but also blow out through here a little bit, just to maybe to keep the plate and the nut cool and all that sort of stuff, and help cooling on the pad, I would imagine. Do you have to be mindful of blocking these vents? They're double-sided, so that usually there's tolerance, so that if you do block it with your hand while you're operating the tool, you've got enough cooling through the bottom and the sides for it to handle it. The bail on it is nice. The overall build quality of this, there is no play on any of this. It is, the whole tool is solid. It's like when you buy a brand new car and you go around poking the dashboard, you know. So yeah, there's my first thoughts, guys. I'll come back in a second. Okay, I'm back. Every time I start filming, there's always like a tradesman turns up next door and you can pick up the audio on camera, so I have to just pause and come back. Just looking at the plug as well. Again, that's okay. That can get pulled on as well, but that does seem to be clamped in. So it seems like a reasonable heavy-duty plug. What's all that on there? It's a bit of fluff. That's okay. So that's good. So what we'll do is we'll plug this in over here. Done. Another thing I like to have a look at on these polishers is that plate. So you can, on the cheaper polishers, the spin of the plate, I've noticed they're not always as flat and level to the shroud as the really expensive premium machines, but it seems to be okay. It's not wobbling around like a plate on a stick. Nowadays, most of these machines, the shroud doesn't touch the plate. On the Rupes machine, it would always just about touch it to give it some support, but that would create plate rub and it would make it a little bit more prone to stalling. So now they've all gone away with that. Of course, when it doesn't get supported by the shroud, then when you're leaning on the machine, you can be putting more, you know, as you're using the machine, you can put a bit more strain on the bearing. The other important thing is it's not brushless, this tool, so it comes with these little chunky brushes, and these, if you use these tools in a professional environment, that's the thing that goes first, these brushes, and you always have to have a few of them spare kicking around, so the brush is sprung and pushes against the motor to make the contact, and as it spins it wears the brush. So yeah, if you're using them as a pro, you could typically get 3 to 6 months depending on how much you're using them, and you might want to change the brushes. So yeah, that's good to do, and they're quite easy to service. You just undo that, pop it out, pop the new one in, do it out, and do it on the other side as well. So we've covered all of those basics. We're on there, aren't we? Yeah, there we go. So what speed are we running at? We're on the lowest speed. Let's just... It seems okay. It's got that slight grindy noise to it, that kind of that crunchy noise, which you tend to get. You get that on the Chinese polishers. You do also get that kind of noise, similar sort of noise with the Rupes, and it's fine. Yeah, but we're on the lowest speed there, so I told you you're getting all my raw thoughts. If I go to top whack, it's going to now be a lot louder, and there's going to be more vibration. Also, I've got no pad on it, so I'm not balancing this. Yeah, Jesus. That is powerful. That's really powerful. That's got some serious grunt, that is. The bite point for the trigger is quite low, so you're not going to accidentally turn it on by just pressing it. You're going to have to really push down on that. The trigger doesn't look like is speed conscious, so it's not like a variable trigger. It looks like it's on. Yeah, it's on or off, basically, which I'm okay with. What's that speed build up like? Pretty quick. It's quick to get up to speed, isn't it? You also get two pads with the Imran's version. They look like they're dual foam pads, which is quite snazzy. I'd imagine these are Chinese-made pads. The machine's Chinese-made, so they're not going to be, well, maybe they're European-made pads, but I'd imagine these are Chinese-made pads. They look all right. We're just going to put on a finishing pad, so let's just crack on with this. This is all supposed to be like informal, so forgive the pace of the video. Quite nice. I tend to go for European foam. Well, I do go for European foam because I think, again, you know, the Chinese stuff's okay. A lot of times they import European foam and they use it because they can't make decent foam out there. But I think they've probably figured it out by now, so I don't know if that's European or Chinese foam. My rule of thumb, as I've spoken about with pads, if they come from China, they've got to be half price of the European stuff. That's my rule. And I don't use Chinese pads, as far as I know. You never know though, do you, half the time? You never bloody know. Yeah, feels like it goes onto the backing plate nice, a bit larger than the backing plate. It comes with a 125mm backing plate. I'm sure you could put that's a 5-inch plate, 125mm. I'm sure you could put 150 on there, but you don't get it. I wonder if Imran sells it. It's quite handy to have the hole in the middle so you can make sure you're mounted up. Yeah, good. Let's just... Oh. With the pad on there, it feels more balanced. Good. Obviously, we need to have it on the panel, but that vibration is good. On top whack, that's not too bad. That surprised me a little bit because it feels like it's going so fast, there'd be tons of vibration, but there isn't. You're going to be running it closer to 4,000. Feels very civilized. Very civilized. Like I say, when that's on the panel, you'll feel a bit more vibration, I would imagine. Yeah, interesting. So, I'm just trying to get tool time today, so I don't really want to be cutting my car. I'm not going to be cutting it with a polish. I just want to use the machine. So I'm just using Poor Boy's Black Hole, which is like I think it's a wax-based glaze. God knows, it's definitely a glaze. God knows what's in it. But I'm using it because it's more like a filler glazed than a cutting compound, you know, or a pure abrasive. It's not going to remove clear coat. It is going to shine up my car though. My car doesn't need polishing. It doesn't need this, but we're going to do it because I need to get the tool time. So yeah, let's just work. I'm just going to use it a bit more like a polish. If I was glazing over this car, I'll do it a bit quicker, but I just want to work the product a little bit, see what it feels like. So let's just run it at 200 to spread the polish. So it's very civilised at that speed. Yeah, nice. You got too close to that rubber. Then we'd crank up. Feels about right there. What I want to do is just marker this. Where are you, swine? Don't give me grief. No, don't give me grief. I've got too much to do today. There you are. Sorry about this, guys. I just want to marker the plate. Can wipe that off later on. So it just allows me to detect the stallage. Powerful. Really good. In that low speed. Doesn't want to stall. Now, of course, we're running a soft finishing pad. We put a stiff pad on there and thicker abrasives, and you'll get more grip, which will slow the rotation down and stall it out more. But sometimes with the soft pads, they'll follow the contours of the paint more than the stiff pad, which will stay flatter. So sometimes soft pads can actually stall out easier with less pressure, but this seems really good on that front. On the stalling front, seems really good. I can't stall it, look. Even I'm pushing in quite hard. Top whack, no chance of stalling it. Totally overworked that polish. It's like disappeared. It's because the pad's taking it as well. I need to build up a bit more in the pad. I'll tell you what, this is very powerful. That's what's in my mind. It is quite noisy. There's a whistling noise to it that's getting in my ears, and I think if you're on there all day, that does become a factor, and you've finished polishing like after 8 hours and your ears are buzzing. But then you can, that's up to you, isn't it? If you put in some headphones, like noise cancelling headphones, and listen to some music or something, or, ear defenders, or even just you put the little ear pods in or whatever, just because they stop the noise, you know, they help you. I think you would maybe want to do that if you're doing this all the time. Vibration wise, it feels pretty good. The crank up. Very smooth. Really good on the stall front, tons of power. Really good on, well, good on vibration. It's not, you know, no matter how good it is, if you use it all day, your hands will feel a bit buzzy and fuzzy. That's just the nature of dual action polishers, but it seems pretty smooth. The only thing is the noise. The noise will get you. Right, I just want to buff this off. Let's just pop this here. Pretty impressed. I mean, it's always going to be a decent tool, wasn't it? Because they just get better. They don't get worse as time goes by. They just tend to get better. And buffing this is just reminding me how damn good this black hole is. It's fucking brilliant stuff. It's just lovely. There's nothing quite like the finish you get after using this stuff. It's really good. This car's going to be done. It's always looking good. Just do have a little bit of a thin line there from where it's painted, like a dry edge that catches something. You know, I've always had that there. That's going to really bug me, that is. It's almost like the colour coat didn't go over it, or it's dry on the edge and the polish has got caught from when they probably polished it in the edge. It's just a little bug, but it's not flawless, this car. You can get too caught up in that. It's just nice. It's just really good. I could just put a bit of touch up over that. That might be the solution. Just gently on a little swab stick. Okay. Yeah, lovely. Lovely. That's it. You see that nice reflexione. Got a little tiny mark there. See that? Yeah, don't try and take it out. Just polish it and just keep the car nice. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so let's carry on. So yeah, initial impressions, really good on power, good on vibration, really good on stall, nice tool to hold. Yeah, pretty impressive. But noise is the only thing that's just I've noticed. Like I said, we're giving you raw thoughts here, so you're going to get everything. Almost think as well, you could go down the line of a different chassis colour, you know, a different shell colour, because black and red, I mean, Imran's done that for a while, but yeah, I don't know, like a signature colour for your brand. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so we're back again. We're just going to do another set while you're here. See how we get on. Just gonna see. There's a little compromise there. That's where you'd need a little nano tool to get under there. I can't bend this. I can't bend this. You can pop it out, but I'm not gonna. So this will show you kind of like the limitations of polishing with larger tools in general. I haven't got, you know, people say you should have this on your back. Yeah, it's going to loop up. I mean, you should probably loop this on your shoulder. I'm used to not using cables. You can put that on your shoulder if you want. Yeah, I suppose you've got no chance then of anything going wrong with it. So we can just go straight into work in this. Top speed's going to be too much, so this is top. Can do that. It doesn't feel too haywire when you go top speed. Feels okay, but I think somewhere between 3.5 and 4.3. Well, especially for what we're doing. So 3.5, yeah, much more civilized. Just stay away from those rubbers. Feels nice and accurate. Nice. It's a good polisher. Very good polisher for the money. Let's talk about money. 150 quid with 2 pads, so that's good. The pads, you know, the pads have got to be worth like 7 or 8 quid each. So it's like another 15 quid of extra stuff that you will use. I almost think, well, I don't want to pay for pads in those kits, but you're kind of getting them for free. And I sort of see why they're there, because so many people might buy this tool and not ever have machine polished before. Quite a large amount of people, this might be their first polisher. So giving them pads just means you can always get this tool and have a go with it, rather than then thinking, oh, what have I got to buy? What pad do I use? It's got to be a cone, so you have to have a hole in the middle. So you're kind of up and running, and you can use it and then do your research on pads later on if you like, you know. Really difficult to stall this machine out. Again, pad choice does have an impact on that. Yeah, I'm going to flip this pad off. Pad is really like grippy in there. Look at that. Oh, Jesus, that's really grippy. Dug on like an Alabama tick. No chance of that flying off. And what I'm going to do is just put this cutting pad on, just so I can get feel for the machine with a stiffer pad. I'm doing that the wrong way around, really. That's pretty centered, that's fine. Yeah, so that's a much stiffer pad. Still, my gut instinct says that that's not the most aggressive cutting pad on the face of the planet. Well, it isn't. It's still got a softness to it, but yeah, it should feel nice though. You don't want to go perhaps giving away really coarse pads that you might need to finish out with, because people might then use it and not get the results that they're expecting because the pad's too coarse. So less is safer in terms of aggression when you're giving this stuff away, I think. So let's just have a look at the stiffer pad. Just going to go over here so that door end was not in the way. Yeah, much stiffer. Just work that in. Jesus, it's good. Oh, don't take the pad up, the thing off the panel when you're doing that. Was I in shot? Yeah, I was. I'll tell you what, guys. The stall on this is just really good. But so these machines will stall. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this and show you this, because I am pressuring into this like an absolute animal. And it will not stall. Maybe, how am I going to do this? How the hell am I going to do this? Let's go in with one hand. Right, just bear with me. Just bear with me. All right, look at this. On the panel, I'm pressing down as hard as I can. That is as hard as I can push down with my left hand, and I cannot stall it. Unless I tilt. Jesus, I'm going to be careful. Just I don't want to go nuts on my paintwork. Yeah, Jesus, yeah. Messing around in my bloody black peril. Yeah, I mean, the stalling on this machine is very, very impressive in terms of it just does not want to stall. Maybe that's the constant speed thing helping it as well. Very impressed with that. Yeah, that's usually something that all these DAs will do if you just get into the paint a little bit more. I'm coming off of this and I'll carry on talking. I'm going back to the red. I will say that, Jesus, these pads, getting them off, bloody hell, you need some strength. That is gripping like an absolute animal. I just want to refine this paint now. I was worried. Pushing all that pressure into my paint. It's curling a little bit there. Yeah, I think I've learned all I need to know about this in terms of this video now. So let's just buff this back, buff this out, just get this top section tidied up, and I was messing around with that. It's a lovely product, this. When I was putting it at an angle, I was throwing bits around. You see that? Bit of slingage there. But it all picks up so nice. It's one of my favourite products, this black hole. It's old school, but it's a good old school product, man. It's just such a great thing to buff your car with. Yeah, that's all fine. Excuse me. Yeah, so I am pretty impressed with this polisher so far. You just keep going with it. There's another thing that's worth mentioning is like whenever you're doing this, you're really just having a quick look at it. Like it's like if I got given a car and I got to take it out for a test drive, you're really just having a quick look at it. And really to review a car, you'd need to own that car for years and years, and then you get the full ownership experience of what breaks, what the weak points are. You drive it for like 10 years and get to 100,000 miles or whatever, you really know about it. It would almost be the same with this tool, that ideally you'd want to use that for a year. So what I'll probably do is give this, or loan it to the guys at Fresh Labs, just say, here you go. They use the previous version of this. They use a DA15 there, and it's still working. All they do with it is swap out the brushes every now and then, because it gets used a lot, you know. But they haven't had to do bearings. The machine's still intact. The cables see a lot of action on them, and the cables are okay. Yeah. So typically with these machines, when they're used in a professional environment, the plugs get trodden on. So if the plug's not heavy duty, the plugs can crack. They get yanked on there. The cables are getting constantly coiled in different ways, and sometimes the cables can get trodden on and they can split and stuff like that. So heavy duty cable is important, and the brushes, main bearings. Very rare to have motor failures on these, you know, and for the tool to actually, like the motor, just go boop. But I'm sure it happens. But I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. It's usually bearings and bits. Yeah, the shells on them are usually pretty good. You don't tend to sort of get reported delamination of the sort of handles and the gripper bits, or failures of triggers and all this. So the actual chassis and shells and motors on these are pretty solid. It's a bit like a car, isn't it? The engines tend to keep going, and then the rest of it kind of deteriorates. But the bit that gets the most contact, which deteriorates the most on the car, isn't it? Oh, I've got some dirty inside of my glass there. Must have got some ingress as the pressure washer's got to it, I think. Yeah. Is that on the inside? Yeah, it is on the inside, yeah. Yeah. So my takeaway from just using this tool to do a wing, a door, and a bit of a rear quarter, I mean, amazing on the stall. That's one of the best non-stalling performances I've ever seen. And it actually carries through to the stiff plate as well. You know, the stiff pad, it's not just the fact I'm using a soft pad. It's very hard to stall this machine. Normally they can stall quite easily. Yes, angles are important. That's why I was playing around with the angle over on that bit. So when you're flat to the panel on that, you're not going to be able to stall it unless you're maybe at bottom speed. But even on 3,500, you're going to struggle to stop that plate rotation. And of course, you're not going to be able to stop the orbit. It's just too much torque and power. I don't notice the machine's constant speed system operating. So it's not like you push down and slow the machine, then it's sort of like you feel like the machine's countering it. You just don't notice it. So it's doing it so quickly, which is kind of cool. That's how it should be. Yeah, the only thing, vibration is okay. There's a bit of vibration there, but it's smooth. In fact, it's very smooth. Noise is the only thing. It's quite howly as a machine. So yeah, you probably want to earplug up, as I've said already. So there we go, guys. There's an informal thing. What am I going to do for my main video? Well, I'll bust out my notebook. I'll write down the spec of the machine on a piece of paper and the price. I'll compare that to premium offerings like Flex and Rupes, and obviously it's going to be cheaper. And I'll compare it to other kind of entry-level Chinese polishers as well to try and place it in the market. I think you get a 12-month guarantee with the machine, which is pretty standard on everything, I think, in the UK. So that's nothing to celebrate, but it's still good. Yeah, because you obviously in a year you can absolutely smash this tool if you're a professional, aren't you? You could smash this. You could do like 20 cars a week if you're doing, you know, if it's in a workshop where more than one cars are coming through and loads of people, it could be constantly in use for a year and get absolutely hammered. So yeah, a year is probably about as good as you're gonna get. That's it. Thank you for watching, guys. I might do a video. I'm going to do a video now on these two abrasives because they're kind of cool old school products, and I wanted to kind of do a comparison video on them as well. So Paul Boy's Black Hole versus Auto Finesse Triple, kind of similar things with some subtle little differences, but sort of giving you the same thing, I feel. Okay, bye for now. Turn the camera off, John. Doug.